afternoon. Welcome to Brothers of Men. It is November 17th, 2016. I am your host, the wonderful, the lovely Jeffrey Russell. Hold the applause, please. I'll be here all week. Anyway, thank you all for joining me today. Please subscribe, also like. So let's get started. All right. So it's come out within the last 24 to 48 hours that Google and Facebook are to censor fake news. Well, I'm glad that they're doing that because then that means everybody should have to stop watching the mainstream media. Oh, wait. No, it doesn't, because that's not who they're talking about. The woman who is responsible for putting this list together, who is a left-wing activist, put out a list, and it's basically people like InfoWars, Drudge Report, and Breitbart, who, as far as I can tell, are the most unbiased, truth-seeking news outlets available. Now, people might say, well, Alex Jones is crazy. Haven't you watched that 20-second clip of him? Yeah, I have. I've also watched Alex Jones for about 2 years and seen almost everything that he's talked about come true. And a lot of that has came out in WikiLeaks. A lot of that came out in the Veritas videos. So people who just bypass Alex Jones as a crazy person, you are doing exactly what the powers that be want you to do. And as a country, we used to be against that. We used to fight against, go against the grain, fight the power, that kind of thing. And now we do what the power tells us because we still believe that mainstream media is, honest journalism because that's what they tell you, powerful, honest, unbiased. When the truth is, it's actually the opposite of just about everything that they tell you. Now, people would say, well, if Alex Jones isn't crazy, then why does the news say that he is? It's because they don't want you to watch him. It's really, it's really simple. You paint a man to look like he's crazy to get people to not watch him. And a lot of people won't. Now, here in the last year, Alex Jones's, base has really swelled. He gets, more, because he posts he does a show every day from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. Central Time. And he does that 5 days a week. He does a show on Sunday night from like 6 to 8, I think, or 4 to 6, one of those. And he gets, on average, about 30 to 40 million listeners a week. Now, that's a lot. That's over 10% of the country. So, if you really think Alex Jones is crazy, and I'm not a crazy person. I'm not. I'm very open-minded. I try to listen to everything. But Alex Jones he's never supported a candidate, ever. He's always gone after both sides because both sides are evil. Both sides are controlled by the same small group of people. The only reason he went for Donald Trump is because he knew Donald Trump is the only person to come across, the presidential election in a long time, if ever, who hasn't been bought and paid for. So they knew that he was our only chance to bring the republic back to the people. And they are already holding his feet to the fire. And he hasn't even started yet about this $1 trillion infrastructure deal. You know, they don't like where he stands on eminent domain. I don't either. And hopefully, we're going to find out if we can, if the people can control Donald Trump. So, you know, and Alex Jones has been talking about, you know, election fraud for as long as I've listened to him, bussing in, you know, minorities to vote 10 times, you know, the machine flips, voter flipping, stuff like he's been talking about that for as long as I've listened to him. Guys like Larry Nichols, who were the he was the Clinton's right hand man. He's on there from time to time. Uh, he and if you still want to believe that he's crazy, okay, if he was really crazy, why would he have on? Because he has guests on almost every day. Well, just about every day, and all of these guests, you know, he's had guys like he had Jesse James on there. He's had the lead singer from the Smashing Pumpkins, and those are just like, you know, Ted Nugent, Jesse Ventura, Roger Stone. Uh, but you know, he's had a lot of former CIA, former FBI, a lot of former Navy SEALs. That Kennedy guy, Tim Kennedy, the UFC fighter who's fighting in New York City. Uh, Gosh, is it tomorrow? I don't, it's coming up soon. The first fight in New York City ever. He's on there from time to time. The man who wrote uh, The Creature from Jekyll Island, talking about the Fed, he has lots of very respectable, reputable people. If he was as crazy as the media would like you to think he is, why would all of those people go on a show? That doesn't make any sense. Because then those people obviously would be guilty by association. So, just to throw some logic out there. Now, the New York Times, who has been a very left biased uh, news organization, especially this go around, came out today and with an article that said why the world needs WikiLeaks. And I was really surprised by that, just because of everything that WikiLeaks has been responsible for as far as exposing corruption on the left. However, they did come out with that, and I think we do need WikiLeaks. I think we need more things like WikiLeaks. Uh, I think guys like Julian Assange and Edward Snowden should have complete pardons because they're not taking our national secrets and selling them for money. They're exposing corruption, and I think that is a very noble thing to do. You know, Edward Snowden is at some embassy, you know, basically locked in a little apartment and he can't leave or he'll be arrested. So, you know, and, you know, Trump and uh, Rudy Giuliani, you know, using WikiLeaks to, you know, and the FBI using WikiLeaks to go after corruption in the Democratic and Republican parties. I'm sorry, but if you're going to use that information, you need to pardon those guys. So, moving on. Fox says that college students shouldn't fly the U.S. flag for fear of repercussion or backlash. This is just more of this toddler coddling. I can't even, words cannot describe my frustration. So now you're living in a country where we're supposed to have free speech. Now, somehow pornography is free speech. That's how that got through, was through free speech. And that's okay. Everybody loves that. But students are being told that they shouldn't fly the US flag, even though that's their free speech. They shouldn't do it because, you know, somebody might kick in their door and slit their throat in the middle of the night because, you know, the left is so loving and cuddly. It just shows where we're at. We need to make a hard right turn in this country. We need to be respectful of each other's beliefs and opinions, and we used to be. It's really only been within the last 4 or 5 years that somehow having a different opinion is a horrible thing. And I don't know what I am. I couldn't put a label on it. I have a lot of conservative values. I have a lot of liberal values. You know, I think the war on drugs is stupid. I I I think it was put in there as part of an agenda, and I think people should be allowed to do what they want with their bodies. Uh, and uh, that's a very leftist belief. But I also believe in family. I believe in working. I believe, I have a lot of conservative values. I believe in individual freedoms. I believe in the Second Amendment. I believe in the First Amendment. I really believe that the Second Amendment protects the rest of your civil rights. Uh, I don't like eminent domain. Uh, so I, I really don't. There's not one label that fits me, and I think there's a lot of people out there like that. I mean, I guess I could be wrong, but I think there's a lot of people out there who really don't fit on either side 100%. Uh, but anyway, it's just really kind of hard because, yeah, I agree more with the right than I do the left, but that's just because I see the left pushing for more and more government, and the right, the people who are really on the right, not establishment people who have been bought and paid for by corporations, but real Republicans or whatever you want to call them, are for less government, which I talked about that in the last video, why we can't have either because of greed and a lack of a moral compass. So anyway, uh, climate change has really been in the forefront of news in the last, decade or so. Uh, but Climate Depot turned in a 43-page report to the UN. And apparently, Trump is right to doubt climate change. So, to all you Bill Nye the Science guys out there, I guess you should just put all of us in jail. Um, so, the thing that makes me question it. Okay, I don't know. I'm not a scientist. I don't know. The reason that I question it is simply financial. The people who say that climate change is real and that, the people who said, like, by 2015, like, the ice caps would all be melted, that obviously isn't true. But people who say that climate change is real First it was global cooling, now it's global warming, now it's climate change because they don't know. Because all of their predictions have been wrong. But they get money from the government to do this stuff. So they're lining their pockets with taxpayer dollars to say that climate change is real. Now, the people who say that climate change is not real don't get any money. So it's really it's really about money to me. So that's why like I said, I don't know. I just have a hard time believing the guys who is getting paid to say this versus the guy who isn't getting paid to say that. So, you know, draw your own conclusions. Now, here in the last year or two, racism has been at the forefront of our, you know, news cycles. And, you know, a lot of people, unfortunately, get their news from Facebook and Comedy Central and Saturday Night Live, which has been pushing fake racism, saying that all Trump supporters are redneck racists and, they're the only racist people out there, and completely denying the real racism that's going on. And I watched a thing where, it was this panel of people, and they said, well, what about these African Americans dragging this white person out of their car and, beating them, basically? And this black woman said, oh, you poor white people, like, that's not racism, like they're justified because of his opinion, because he's white. That's racism. I don't understand how this works. How if you're black, it's not racist to beat the shit out of a white person because he's white. But if you're white, you're racist for voting who you feel is the better candidate. It has nothing to do with race. And if you think that, you're ignorant and you're the problem with this country. And if you don't like the way this country is ran, go somewhere else. Because I'm tired of being a white male. Just because I'm a white male, I'm a racist, I'm a sexist, I'm a bigot, I'm a homophobe, when none of that is true. Nor do you have any proof of that. But I can tell you what, the white people out there getting the shit beat out of them for wearing a Trump is my president shirt, that's racism. That's bigoted. And somewhere along the line, it became okay to be racist against white people, even though most people alive today had nothing to do with any racism that has ever happened. But that's okay because we're white, and somebody hurt your feelings. It really makes me mad that racism against white people doesn't exist when it's so huge, when it's so big, it's all you can see. But racism against black people and other minorities is so small, you have to go somewhere to try to find it. But yet that's the problem. People, the girl who got the shit beat out of her in school for posting something on Facebook about Trump, that's okay because she's white. And the media, and I'll say it again, the media is responsible for doing this. And every white person who has been assaulted, Was it John? One of the guys from Infowars was out filming a riot or a protest down in Austin and trying to talk to people. Some guy kicked him and he's just walking around talking to people, filming people. Saw that he was from Infowars, kicked him in the back and called him a fascist. Do you even know what fascism is? You are being a fascist. Assaulting somebody for not agreeing with you, that's what fascism is. All of you people who say Trump is Hitler are insane because you are promoting the hate that you're claiming to fight. And I don't understand how you see that. When you say, you're racist against me. Bam, 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 bam. Fuck you, you fucking racist. Bam, bam. I don't get it. I don't get it. And it really is starting to frustrate me because people in the media, people where people get their news, unfortunately, like Comedy Central, are responsible for the pain that is being caused to everyday Americans. And if it doesn't stop, it's going to come to a head. And I'm pretty sure you don't want that. So, media, if you ever hear this, you need to unbrainwash yourselves and realize that you are responsible. Every punch that's thrown, every bullet that is fired is on you because you are constantly feeding this fire that was basically dead a decade ago. It was dead. Racism was a thing of the past. And somehow, magically, it's been brought to the forefront because you don't have real arguments. So you just use racism. You can't argue about policies. You can't argue about facts. So you just call people racist. And that is what weak-minded, stupid people do. So, there's my 2 cents. Thank you guys very much. Please subscribe, like the channel. Um, feel free to leave a comment. Please be respectful. Yeah. So thank you guys very much. Have a good day. Bye-bye.